Guys, how's it going? In today's video is going to be an interesting video, interesting topic anyways. I came across some interesting news and I thought maybe I'd talk about it. If this actually happens, I would be extremely happy, and Aurora will probably take will be the number one company again if they manage to snag Coke. If they manage to snag Coke, Aurora stock will rise a lot, and so will Canopy, and we might be seeing $20-25 price tag easily on the stock. Only if Coke invests into Aurora Cannabis. I saw some rumors and it's been interesting. We'll start off with a video from BNN saying that Pepsi, Coke, former alcohol industry executive are all eyeing the cannabis industry. We'll start with this, and then I have an article for you guys later.
The race is on for major alcohol producers and snack makers to get into the cannabis space. And as we reported on Friday, Diageo is already in talks, we believe, with at least 3 marijuana players about a partnership. So just who might be next? Well, our next guest used to be the head of sales for Constellation Brands in Canada, was also president of Moosehead Breweries, and led sales and marketing at McCain Foods. Stephen Foray is now on the board of directors for cannabis grower and producer Biome Grows. Stephen, good to be with you. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
We were talking about during the commercial break, your background is so interesting, and the fact that you said that you were in retirement and you've come back and on the board of this company, you obviously must see something happening here.
Well,
what is it?
It's a great new development for the Canadian industry. It's not very often you get a whole new industry starting up. It's kind of like high tech. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And the similarities between beverage alcohol and the cannabis market are incredible. I mean, they're really going after the same consumer for the most part. Going to be sold in many cases in the same stores or by the same customers. And so it's really interesting. And so, I joined the board of Biome because of my connections in the beverage alcohol industry at all the liquor commissions across the country. I know those people really well, and we can have fruitful discussions about how to get our product on their shelves as quickly as possible.
And what do you see, though, as it relates to beverage companies continuing to look to partner with cannabis companies?
Well, certainly the cannabis is going to be infringing on the beverage alcohol space. It's consumers looking for a way to get enjoy life a little bit more by getting a high, whether it's through the alcohol or cannabis. So it's really expanding that whole market. So if you're a beverage alcohol producer, you don't want to lose market share.
Yeah.
And the market's going to be bigger, but they still want share. So if they want to maintain their position within the overall marketplace, they're going to need to have a footprint somehow in the cannabis market.
Do you think that for any type of beverage company that it is absolutely a must to make a partnership?
I don't think for everybody. I think if you're a niche player, it's not necessary. But if you're a really big player, such as Constellation, Diageo, Ambev, which owns Anheuser-Busch, any of the really big players, they're going to want to be involved. And possibly even beyond that, if you're a large beverage company such as PepsiCo or Coke, who also have snack food divisions, they will probably be very interested in getting a footprint within the cannabis market.
You guys heard that, right? Coke and Pepsi could be looking into the cannabis industry. At least this is what this guy was talking about. So it's a possibility. I also have an article saying that they are actually looking into it right now. So after this video, I'll show you guys the article.
How large do you think this market is going to end up being? And because some people, you're smiling, some people will say this is the beginning of the alcohol industry as well. Do you see it that way?
Nobody really knows, because nobody knows how big the black market is today. So it's really anybody's guess. I've seen estimates, for North America, it was between $35 and $70 billion in revenue, 5-10 years down the road. And that probably doesn't even include the medical marijuana side. Yeah. So it's going to be huge, but nobody knows how big huge is.
Stephen, it's interesting. I'm curious. This company that you have associated yourself with your history, your career, why this company? And I'm asking that in the sense that I think it's so difficult for investors to understand how to analyze these various companies because the industry is just so new. What is it about this company that you like?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, there's really three segments that they go after. There's the commercial business going after the beverage alcohol segment. There's the domestic medical marijuana business, and there's the export medical marijuana business.
Okay.
So Biome is going to be very proactive in all three segments. But within the commercial side, a lot of the larger cannabis companies today, they're looking at going out with big national brands. Biome's strategy is going to be more of the grassroots strategy, much like the craft beer industry, and working primarily in smaller markets such as, say, Nova Scotia, or Newfoundland, or Manitoba, where consumers are much more oriented to buying products that are produced locally. When I was at Moosehead Breweries, based in New Brunswick, you really got a sense of, brands like that do much better in their home province because consumers want to support the local economy. So that's going to be Biome's domestic commercial strategy, being the grassroots supplier.
Are there any other ones trying to do that same strategy that you're seeing so far?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. And let's talk a little bit about the medical marijuana side of it as well. It's interesting to me that we are seeing the beverage companies interested in the cannabis, but I haven't seen much in the way of the pharmaceutical companies, really. And I don't know if that's because obviously they want to protect their market share on the pharmaceutical drug side, but are you hearing any rumblings of where they're standing these days?
I haven't heard any rumblings, but it would make sense for them to get into it, because just as the commercial side is going to impact the beverage alcohol segment, you know that the medical marijuana side will affect the drug companies, particularly once a lot more research and studies have been done to show the positive effects of using a medical marijuana product, which up until now there hasn't been a lot of studies, but a lot of companies are starting to do that. Biome is working with Saint University to conduct studies to show the efficacy of their products. So I think once that starts to happen, I think the pharmaceutical industry will be paying a lot more attention.
And just to go back for one moment in terms
of... you guys heard that? Pharmaceutical are probably eyeing the cannabis industry, so there's the beverage, and then there's also the pharmaceutical, but right now pharmaceutical is probably watching and waiting, but everybody thinks that pharmaceutical will eventually go into the cannabis industry. So there's so many investors, so many big money bags that are interested in investing into cannabis, and it's going to be an interesting one next year. I think 2019 is going to be a very interesting year. All these marijuana companies will be producing good numbers for their earnings in like the $200+ million. That's what I believe. We'll see what happens, but that's what I believe. Aurora and Canopy are going to be producing at least $200 million and not more. I think Canopy can easily go to like $400 million a quarter in 2019 because they just got a $5 billion investment, and I'm sure they're using that $5 billion investment to grow their business even faster than Aurora. But if Aurora manages to get Coke, then the competition will be very tight and would be very interesting. We'll see what happens. Let's continue the video. It's almost over.
Of how the cannabis companies are going to be able to differentiate themselves, I think there's still a little bit of confusion, certainly amongst some of us, that how, with the marketing rules that the government is going to set out, how do you actually market the product and differentiate yourself when that's going to be limited, from what I understand? Yeah,
I believe a lot of it is going to have to be done at the store level. So that when people come in, that the staff is trained, well trained on how to sell people certain products depending on what kind of effect they're looking for. And certainly Biome has partnered with a virtual reality company that will have virtual reality machines in the stores to help both the person selling the product and the consumer.
That was probably the end of the video. There's no point of hearing the rest of it. And I'm not really copying. I'm not really stealing. I'm commenting on the video, so it's fair right. Okay, so this article says that beverage makers exploring entries into Canadian cannabis sector. So this is the article I was talking about. It says that some global beverage makers are taking a close look in the cannabis legal marijuana industry as they weigh the possibility of getting into the business. Officials from, I can't even say that, Heineken Holdings, Coca-Cola and Diageo, among other companies that have been making rounds with legal cannabis producers. So all these companies are looking into the legal cannabis producers, most likely Canada, executives, and touring their facility according to sources familiar with the matter. So Coke's interested. And if Coke picks Aurora, oh boy, I think Aurora might take the '1 spot away from Canopy. Just my opinion. That would be amazing if Coke went into Aurora, invested into Aurora. They're the biggest beverage company in the world, and yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, Coke is big, and Coke, if they're smart, they should be looking into this seriously. I mean, like, yeah. So Coke stock is market cap is $191 billion. They're more than Disney. They're more than Netflix is over, just a big bubble. But yeah, they're worth more than Disney. They're worth more than a lot of companies. I think they're worth more than Pepsi. But Pepsi's also, according to him, Pepsi's kind of might be interested too. So yeah. So let's look at the finances. Can Coke afford a licensed producer? Absolutely. They right now make $2 billion per quarter. The net revenue is, they lost a lot of money this quarter, but you know, big companies sometimes lose money. But they're making like $9 to $8 billion of revenue per quarter. They're pretty profitable, and if you look at the cash balance, they have $8 billion in cash. Well, it ranges. I don't know why it ranges all the time. Maybe because they sell stuff and receive money. And then they have $11 million in short-term investment. So they're very well capitalized to take a big chunk into the cannabis industry. I'm hoping they invest into Aurora and become Aurora's partner. That would be awesome. I would love to see that. That would boost both Canopy and Aurora stock up, but Aurora might take the #1 spot if Aurora lands a deal with Coke. This is all of Coke's product. They have a lot of beverages. They have a lot of name brands. And if they buy out a cannabis company, they can have CBD infused drinks or cannabis infused Cokes. That would be awesome. Cannabis infused Coke would sell like hotcakes, in my opinion. So it would be a very smart move for them to invest into the cannabis industry. This is just my opinion, though. And okay, so I'll end it off with Namaste. Namaste has a really nice pop today. It makes me extremely happy. 197. I'm sure a lot of Namaste people Namaste investors. My apologies. Namaste investors are extremely happy right now. They have a market cap of $500 million. Kind of overpriced, but this stock has ran to like $3.78. So I can see a possibility of it running up to $4 and then them getting listed on the Nasdaq. Nasdaq? Yeah, the Nasdaq. So you could take the gamble and you could still double your money even at this price point. But like I said, that's gambling. And the opposite might happen, but I don't really think it will. So this is a disclosure. If you do buy and it goes down, not my fault. It's you're taking the risk of investing into these companies. And thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, please give me a thumbs down. Subscribe for future updates and have a great day. Bye.